Kezia Gill.
So if we aim to just maybe speak for 45 minutes, or maybe 50 with a bit of editing.
And I'm Jade Helliwell.
So I'd set my teddies up and I'd sing along to Whitney Houston. I thought, this is it.
And you're listening to Do You Know Any Oasis? A podcast about two women trying to make an independent career in the music industry.
I know you write your own songs and everything, love, and they're good and everything, but do you know any Oasis? Podcast time!
Episode 1.
Here we are. Lot of planning to get here, but we're finally here.
I feel like we've talked about this for a long time.
Very long time, and now it's here, coming to life. Do you know any Oasis?
I feel like there's so much explanation needed in why we've called it that, but hopefully it will all start to make sense.
Yeah, so we'll share a lot of stories and such throughout the podcast, especially this episode, and give you a little bit of a background about us both, who we are, what we do, and why the podcast is called Do You Know Any Oasis?
So why did we want to do this podcast?
So I feel like we've both at a stage in our careers right now where the fun, exciting stuff is happening.
Yeah.
But we both started out as kids. Yeah. So we've got a lot of experience in music from all levels, working his way up from, singing at your auntie's wedding.
I think it's kind of because I remember when I first met you and I saw you playing a festival and you were quite high up in the bill. You were like 9 o'clock on a Friday.
Just had my panic attack.
Again, this is what people don't see. We're going to get into that. But I was very much just coming into the scene, which again, we're going to talk about sort of the scene, the UK country music scene. But I was in awe of you. And then I was like, I just want to be friends with this woman. And it was only when we started talking and I realised we had very similar backgrounds, and we came up through the pubs and clubs. And I just thought that I think that's why we get on so well.
Definitely.
We've done the whole kind of pay your dues. We've walked the boards, as they say. And I think for a lot of people that, they'll come and see you and they see you playing a headline show or they see you doing all these amazing things. They actually don't realise that where it started, what we've been doing, and that's why we just thought we talk about it all the time, and we're always giggling about it. So we thought we'll talk. We'll do a podcast. We want to talk about the music industry. We want to talk about what we're doing in it, but where it all started, where it came from.
Absolutely. So my first kind of experience with music was I was about 9-10 years old. Went on a family holiday to Torquay. Big up Torquay. And my mum had said, and there's a pub and they'll do karaoke and we'll go for tea then. You'll be able to sing karaoke if you wanted to. And I thought, this is it. This is the moment. So I ain't messing around, this is it. So I used to practice every night. I had this little purple karaoke machine with cassettes.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it was the 90s.
Did it flash?
Unfortunately not. But it's all right because I used to just flick my light on and off. So I'd set my teddies up and I'd just sing along to Whitney Houston. I thought, this is it. Went to karaoke, sang Greatest Love of All. Very nasal, I needed my arachnoids removing. And then they recorded it on cassette. Wow. Came back and I started, I made friends with someone who owned a studio locally where you could go in and record your favourite songs on a CD.
Wow.
So I made my first album, Dreaming. Because, of course, I put Dreaming by Selena on there. I was like, this is me dreaming of being a star. Took me ages. I used to sell it to my form tutor and stuff in year 7. I was like, got a CD for sale if you want one.
So when people say how long have you wanted to be a singer? Was there any influence, or did you always know you could sing? Was it, or did you just realise you could do it one day?
I think I had two loves and they kind of came together later in life. So up until then, I always wanted to be an author when I was younger. Loved Enid Blyton.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with storytelling and
reading
writing.
Quite young.
Yeah. My mum used to read to me every single night. And I can see me now begging her one more chapter, just one more chapter.
See, it's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was books and literature and that escapism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved the Faraway Tree and stuff
Absolutely.
Reality, Mrs. Pepper Pot. Loved it.
For me, it was Roald Dahl.
Yeah, I loved
they're
Roald
trying to
Dahl.
censor his books these days. I'm like, do not
Stop
mess with Roald.
We had one of his, what was his book called? And it was revolting rhymes.
Yes.
Loved it.
So good.
So I used to read all the time, and then when I was about 8 and 9, I always singing in the bedroom and stuff, but it wasn't until Fateful Karaoke and Torquay that I was like, oh, actually, I could do this as like a thing. I could be a singer. And because people were like, oh, you've got a nice voice actually for a kid. So I kind of got more into the singing, and it wasn't until I was like, I used to write a little bit, but like, oh no, this is ever good enough. Until I was like 19, taught myself to play the guitar, and started writing songs. So like the writing came back into my music as I got into like
was there like an
teens.
influence in your family? Was that there a guitar in the house, or did you actively have to go and?
Yeah, I actively bought one. I did. I mean, we're talking. So I used to do loads of competitions. You know what I mean? Do you do them? Little comps.
When you're on holiday?
Oh no, I'm like local. Like,
oh, see, we had one when I was 16, and it was called On Your Mics.
brilliant.
And I kind of went into it as a bit of an underdog. So I was only 16 years old, and I won it. And the prize was to go down to London and go to all these record labels and get like feedback. And we got to shoot a video, which I shot in a graveyard.
Where I need to see it. Where is this video?
It will never see the light of day. But it was like such a big eye opener for like the industry, because I was just like a small town girl growing up in Derby, and then suddenly we were on a train. Me and my dad paid to go down to London. We went to Virgin, we went to Sony, and I think they'd just taken on Katie Tunstall, and it was when Black Horse and the Cherry Tree was really big, and they were really pushing the girls with guitars agenda.
Yeah.
So I was really super focused in that sort of keep writing, keep playing my guitar. And then it was weird, because after that you just get on the train and you come home and it's all over. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but I want to be in London, and I want to stay down there. But yeah, competitions, they were a thing.
I did loads. So I did, I won the D Factor, that were Dewsbury's Got Talent basically. So I won a prize where I got to play at the Mailers. Have you ever been to like Bradford Mailer?
No.
These huge festivals, on like cultural festivals, and I mean full of like food and entertainment and stuff. And I got a guy called Raj Palmer, who is incredible, and he run like Sunrise Studios. So he got a team of like backing dancers for me. You know what? I've got the DVDs. I'm going to dig it out for you somewhere. I start off with Breathless. So it comes in, go on, leave me breathless. I appear, I'm on someone's shoulders. I was not walking, I was on two fellas' shoulders. They turned around me. I was like, you know what Peter Kay does that thing where he uses the song and he's like, that was me. Turning around on shoulders.
And how old were you?
About 16. So I won that. That was great. And then I won the Whist Factor, which were a pub near us, Whistler, did a competition. You went every Thursday. So I won that one. That was great. And then my big win, I won Yorkshire's Got Talent.
Wow.
So this were... I mean, it's not there anymore, but the place in Batley was Frontier, it was called then, but it was Batley Variety Club. And that ran for weeks. It went on and on until big final. All my mates came, they made Jade t-shirts, had banners and stuff. I won $1,000.
Wow.
18. I was made
lot.
up. Yeah, I won $1,000. I was made up. And I got like put on calendar TV and stuff for my comp win. Big moment for me. And then I made friends that night with the DJ called Scott Page, and he works in dance music. So he came to me and was like, I'd love you to be a vocalist on my thing. So I was on the Clubland Smashed album, age 18.
Wow, I'm learning so much.
Dabbled in a bit of Clubland.
Because I think as well, like when you're that sort of age and you figure out that you want to be a singer, you'll literally try anything.
Oh, aye.
And there's no like... I always find it really funny that when you're 16 and you leave school, people are like, pick a career.
Yeah.
I'm 16.
Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to know what I want to do till I'm 67 or 70, retirement age. And it's such a figuring everything out age. And even though I knew I loved music and I'd grown up listening to a lot of country music, but old traditional, but I 100% wanted to be a pop star.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to the Spice Girls, Steps.
Yeah.
And like Holly Valance knew every move. And it's like when I used to think about the shows I would do, it wasn't what I'm actually doing now.
Yeah.
It was like the big arenas, the Little Mix kind of vibe. And I just think, even with dance music, I've dabbled in it a little bit. You lend your vocals to it and stuff, but there's just so much figuring figuring yourself
and like
out.
finding who you are, I think, as an artist. And like they say that they're finding your voice, but it genuinely isn't. Like finding like what's my genre, what's my niche, where are my strengths, what writing style, like how do I write songs? Because how I write songs wouldn't, I couldn't go and release a bloody reggae album with the way I write.
How old were you when you wrote your first song?
Well,
And can we hear it?
my actual first song that I was like, right, I'm going to play this out. I was late on, like 19, but I was writing for years before then. None of it any good. Me and my cousin used to write together after school, and I've still got it at home, like my little lyric book that I made out of like taking A4 paper, folding it in half and stapling it. And then we'd write these really bad songs in. But now I look at really inappropriate.
Yeah.
We had one, I don't know if I can even sing on this, but it was like, it happened on the third floor of the hotel. I was pretty drunk and I knew he could tell. And then I'd come in like, oh yeah, baby. At about 12, what were I doing? Singing about being drunk in an hotel.
This was the influence that we had though.
Yeah.
Because you listen to like
Britney.
Spice Girls, Two Become One. Get a little bit close, put it on. If that's not a condom reference, I don't know what is. Listen, I'm all about safe play. But I was singing that at 14.
In it, yeah, definitely. Like the songs we were writing were very inappropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably didn't actually start thinking, oh, maybe I could do this. You know what it was really? I did, like I say, so I was 18, I did the dance track for Clubland Smash, and it was basically a song.
Where can we get this record?
Got it at home, I'll play it. It was a mashup between One Republic Apologise and this song they'd written called Believe Me. So it'd be like, it's too late to apologise. Believe me. And when it came out, we had a little mic and my mum used to drive around Batley with it on full blast lights. My daughter! And I remember thinking, oh, I wonder if I could write something like that. So in my head, I was thinking, write something for that sort of thing. And I started writing, and I was listening to loads of country music, so I loved it. So naturally, what came out of me was not a dance song, but a country song.
Did you know, it's so funny. Like I think my first proper song that I can actually like put my name to, I was 15, and it was for my music GCSE. But I've been writing for years before that, and it was stuff that we like did in the playground. And I'm sure like you form little bands, little girl bands, and it was like I was like, I'll write some songs, and one of them was called Reach for the Stars, and it was like, you gotta reach for the stars, you gotta grab them and not let go, and we had all these movements, right? And then this is how delusional I was at like 14 when S Club 7 brought out Reach for the Stars. I was like, they have had me. They have ripped me right off. I remember crying, coming home and being like, they've had my song. I'm like, what do you think? They came to Harrington Primary and just like listened to doing it in the playground. But I was so upset.
Yeah.
And I was like, they've proper
You could have a lawsuit on your hands, so let's have it right. It's just like when Ed Sheeran ripped me off the telephone.
He did, in a big way.
I can't deal. When Ed Sheeran dropped that song, my mum was like, do you think he's heard telephone? I was like, do I think Ed Sheeran, biggest artist in the planet, has heard Jade from back? You know what? I could say probably not. My mum was like, I think he has.
It's really hard though, because you'll write a song and you think, have I ripped this off? I voice noted you, didn't I? I was writing last summer and I went, please, I think I've ripped Taylor Swift off here. And you were like, yes, you have immediately. You've definitely ripped off that chord progression.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, what's nice, and I think again, why we were writing from really young. We both love literature. We love English. We're big readers, aren't we? But the irony is, we actually didn't get to sing our own songs until very recently.
Yeah.
Cover girls, weren't we?
Cover girl, put the bass. Yeah. Yeah, like I say, I my first gig was at my local rugby club, like I say, singing covers. I was a little dot on the pitch while the team warmed up, singing Black Velvet and stuff like that. I know. Listen, I was a ballsy kid.
You're a ballsy woman, let me tell you.
And then they upgraded me and I used to get to sing on the truck at the back while they were selling pie and peas at End at Match.
I feel like singing on the back of a truck is a rite of passage.
Oh, aye.
And all new artists up and coming, it should be like a checklist.
Yeah, but have you been on back at truck?
Have you got changed in a disabled toilet?
Yeah. Have you been on truck?
Have you sung on the back of a truck? Have you had to pause your set for some kind of raffle or bingo?
Have you won the bingo and been dog looked by everyone in the club because the turn's come in and won the bingo?
Again, the turn. That is such a northern thing. Obviously I'm from the Midlands, and it was only when I started gigging up here, and they were like, "Are you the turn?" It's turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
are you
the turn? Do you know where that comes from?
I've no idea. If anyone knows, please let us know. Where's that from?
The turn. Because I used to think people were like, are you doing a turn? I was like,
stripping?
Not prostitute, man. I made to sing Patsy Cline. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was like music was always going to be what I did. My dad was a singer, and I grew up going to with him to gigs. So literally from the age of 4 or 5, and I was very clear. I wanted to be my dad. I wanted to do what he was done. And it was like, he was very much like clubland, pubs, but he was so popular, so admired, because that's why I wrote this. I wrote a song about him called Local Man Star. I grew up watching him be a celebrity because he was like, everybody knew him. And where he used to sing on the East Coast, so Mablethorpe, Louth and Skegness. And he'd go back season after season and people would remember him. He was a celeb. And that was like what I aspired for. And then we were laughing about it, weren't we? Saying you become like small town famous. Yeah. So because I was gigging in and around Derby and Nottingham and stuff like that, you start to become known as a singer and become known as, you start to get a few followers on Facebook. And it's for a long time, like that was enough. Yeah. I was like, I'm singing, I'm making a living, like I can pay my own bills and stuff. But there's always something deep rooted where you remember as a kid, like doing those playground routines. Yeah. I do still want to be the Spice Girls. I do still want to be Little Mix, Yeah. And I suppose that's where cover gigs then suddenly were like, this isn't enough anymore. I want to do my own songs. But it's hard to go from A to B. Hard to go from having a pretty reliable job, doing your gigs and you go out and you can book a year in advance. Some clubs are booking. To saying, actually, I'm going to try and sing my own music where there's no money in it. Nobody knows it. And it's hard, isn't it, to
sort of cross that line? Yeah, definitely. I remember like the first time I wrote a song, I took it to Pete, who just like sound and stuff. I've known him since, because he was the guy who had the studio I went to. Yeah. I was like, I've written a song. And he's like, all right, and play it for me. And I remember that I'd done it to my mum as well. I was like, all right, I'll play it, but close your eyes, don't look at me. Don't look at me while I sing it for you. And it was called Save Me, because I worked at hospital as a cleaner and I bloody hated it. So my first song I wrote was called Save Me.
From this life.
And I played it. You know what? That's a bit of a lie, a bit of a stretch. I didn't hate the job. It just wasn't for me. I loved the people, loved the patients. Like, I'm a social person. I like people. So I liked just chatting to people all the time. But then obviously that I won't get enough work done because I'm chatting to people all the time.
Loves a chat.
Loves a chat. Yes, I used to get into trouble every now and then for that. And it just was, like I said, it just wasn't enough. It was just a job with a wage and stuff. So I really wanted to be doing music. And I played that song and it was like, oh, you got to record it. And that was kind of the thing of like, you think? And I was like, maybe I should try write another one to play and another one. And like some of those early songs were dreadful. Like some of them were like 6 minutes long. Like no one wants that.
Part of the process then. My dad used to say to me, because again, my songs were like 4 or 5 minute political epics at 15. He's like, you're not Bob Dylan.
So I'd have like a song about abuse, a song about drugs. Like,
I wrote a song about cocaine. I was like 16. I watched too many Tarantino films. But I love that the writing starts young and you grow with it.
Yeah, definitely. And then that saved me. I ended up putting it on the first album I released back in 2015, something. The first album. Well, actually, I did a bit of a cheeky thing. So basically, I did an EP. Yeah. Urban Life, Country Dreams. No, Country Heart. Urban Life, Country Heart. No. Lives in a town, wants to be in a field. And I did 5 songs on there, went to Nashville, took loads with me. I made them up myself. I bought a printer where you could print onto CD and I would duplicate the CDs. Then I'd print my artwork and I cut them all to size. I put them in my little plastic wallet, stick my CDs in. Went to Nashville first time, 2012. I said to Tim, I was like, I'm packing my EPs, packing my CDs with me. What I thought I was going to do, I don't know. Stuck them all in. So I'm like 21 by this point because I could drink. Stuck them all in my case. And I've got like videos on. I bought a flip cam. That's because phone quality wasn't great back when I was 21. No. A little flip cam, and I've got videos of me and Emily. I'm like, morning, if you look over there, there it is, BMI. and like zooming in, and she's like holding up my EP for me. And I did some like songwriters nights, like open mic. Like I don't know what, I had no business doing it, but I was doing it. And I'd take my EPs and be like, please take a free EP, and like hand them out to punters.
Do you know, it is honestly, it's so refreshing hearing that I wasn't the only kid.
The only weirdo.
Printing my own CDs. I had a photo shoot at a local country park, which my sister did. And there's like, oh look, these trees look a bit sinister. And I'm wearing like a green dress. Of course it's green.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking a bit moody in front of the trees. I've still got this photo shoot. And printed off all the CDs. And I remember I'd written Mr. Cash when I was 18, which is a song I wrote about Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Because he was such a like big inspiration. Wrote him this song and I sent it. This was when the internet was just starting to get much more accessible. So I sent it to a USA radio station called cash.com. Online radio, but it was all things Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
So I sent it to them and they loved it. And they were like, look, we host an annual birthday bash for Johnny Cash. It's at the Fender Guitar Museum in Corona, Los Angeles. And we invite you to come and perform that song.
Stop it.
And it's like, we invite you, like you got to pay for yourself.
Yeah, we invite you
so
at
I was
your
like
expense.
saying to mum and dad, like, this is like the biggest thing that might ever happen to me. We need to go. So we made it all happen. Me, my husband Lloyd, we'd only been together a couple of years. My mum and dad flew out to LA. And I'd got all these CDs, like printed them, and they were just like, you know, like the plastic wallets.
That's what matter, you'd fold it over, you have to like do this so it stayed folded.
And I remember my dad, and I unfortunately have to speak about my dad in the past tense because he passed away 3 years ago, but he was certain this was my break. And I remember playing him the CD in the car, and he went, "You'll not be coming home." He was so sure. He went, you'll not be coming home. You'll not be coming home from LA. This was it. So we went, and it was a really great day, and we did the show and everything. But then we flew home, and it was like, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth. You think, oh, okay. So, but I was a blooming like 19, 20-year-old rocking up with like a printed out CD, which I'd made myself. It wasn't even like nice paper. It was just printed. I had print lines through it. And but this is, when you see people like Taylor Swift and like, her family moved her to Nashville at 14, and like you think, had I been given that opportunity? But no, I was literally like printing my own CDs.
Same.
Remember, you used to print the CD sticker and you had to get it perfectly lined up with the CD.
Which
so you could buy.
Oh, you could, and then
the
you'd stick it
paper
on.
stickers for CDs.
Yeah.
So you'd get all you print off like 20 CDs, and then you'd have to peel the back of the CD, and you'd have to stick it on with perfect precision.
Like I say, I made a serious investment into my music, and I bought a printer where you pulled out a tray, you put your blank CD on, you shoved it in, it printed direct to disc, you pulled it out.
We didn't get a
Give
computer.
it 5 seconds to dry.
No.
I bought it myself. Years I got out of it, and then it finally gave up the ghost.
We didn't get a computer till I was about 24. Honestly, we were so behind. But yeah, good time. I feel like this is when we talk about like coming up through the ranks.
Yeah.
I think because we literally did that. And I used to go to London with a bag full of CDs, and I'd Google where all the big record labels were, and I'd leave them with reception, thinking, the person on reception cares enough about my career that they're going to go up to the 28th floor to hand that into A&R. It's just,
like you're saying, it's all that happens. I mean, you should go back home.
Yeah.
Just chill.
Just like wait for your next cover gig at the Dog and Duck and wait.
When I had, so for anyone who don't know, I had a video go viral in 2017. I was out on a night out in Leeds, sang with a busker in a song that was way off key. And basically, the video went viral, got like over 25 million views. And everything started happening at once. Like I had calls for radio, I was doing look off interviews, and people were requesting me for gigs, and my diary were fitting. I couldn't keep up with my messages and my tags and stuff. And then I got this manager get interested in me, big time manager based down in London. Who was like, "I want you down on a train tomorrow to London. I've got meetings for you." I was taken to record labels and talking about booking agents and publishing houses. And I was like, "Oh my God, I can see me now crying at fireplace." And I'm going, "It's finally happening! It's happening!" And he was like, "I think I want to put you on a train. I want work with me and like all this stuff." Right, and everything was going really well. Quit my job. I was like, I don't need the safety of my full-time wage. I am balls in. I'm doing it. I'm going to go into music full-time. Did that. And then within a few weeks, it just didn't work out. And I was like, oh, God, I've got no money and no wages now. touch wood, it was for the best, and I still managed to be full-time in music ever since that day I walked out of my job. I say walked out like it's dramatic, I handed in a notice and worked about a month's period, but you know.
There's always moments though, isn't there? Because I mean, I'm 35 now, and I'd say I've been seriously doing this since I left school.
Yeah.
Which I know will probably seem young to a lot of people, but I was gigging every weekend at 16.
Yeah.
I wasn't even old enough to be in the pubs I was working in.
Yeah.
And then at 18, not only did I leave home, but I left the country. I moved to Lanzarote, where just by chance on a holiday the year previous, I'd got up and sang in an Irish bar, and the owner of the bar said, look, if you ever want work, it's here for you. Like we will give you 5 nights a week. So when I finished college, I was like, well, I'm going to go and earn some money. I'm going to go and make my dreams happen. Yeah. So it was like doing all these gigs and everything. And then something would happen. Like I got, you win a competition or something, or then the Johnny Cash thing happened, and I'm on a plane to LA.
Yeah.
And then I got signed by a very, very small independent label, and I was like, this is a record deal. Yeah. I have been signed. But unfortunately, nothing ever happened with it. Yeah. We did some press stuff, we did some photos and recorded a bit of music, but they didn't have the capacity to take me anywhere, and I didn't have the experience or the tenacity to push the agenda, you know. And again, it's like you think to yourself, this is it, it's happening, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like every single time you have to come back from that.
Yeah,
you become a little bit more jaded, you learn a little bit more, and you become a little bit more savvy that the business is actually very cutthroat.
Yeah.
And even now, like great things are happening now, you know, nearly 20 years on, but I will still never say those words, it's happening. Yeah. Other people say it to me.
Yeah.
You're doing really well, aren't you? It's all happening.
Doing all right.
Don't jinx it. Please don't jinx it, because we have been here before.
So, like you said, people say, oh, it's happening. But it kind of feels like things are taking a turn now. Like we're well established, I think, within the country music genre here in the UK.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if you're listening and you don't know there's a country scene, there is.
Well, that was me. And for me, the massive turning point in everything of years and years of feeling what was like scrabbling around in the dark. Suddenly when I found out about this country scene, it was like big lights on. Bang. Yeah. These are my people. This is where I feel comfortable. Because even though I'd kind of experimented with pop, and I'd even done an album, I think it was back in 2012, and it was quite alternative, it was quite rocky, it was quite indie, and I didn't really have a genre. I've always just sort of been a singer-songwriter. I like influences from all kinds of music, but country was so strong because of my dad and growing up with those voices and that kind of style of storytelling. And I actually played a lot of country music clubs, so it was a great way for me to earn money and still sing in a genre that I loved. Yeah. And somebody just happened to mention sort of that there was a bit of a scene. I had no clue how to get into it or how to make the jump. And then it was a chance encounter that I worked with a band, and somebody knew a guy called Gary Quinn, who is now a great friend of ours. And he is obviously a co-founder of Buckle and Boots Festival based in Manchester, which is an absolute champion festival for UK country music. Yeah. And he was putting a few supports together for an American guy called Phil Vassar. And he was coming over to the UK, and they needed a artist to do the support slot up in Glasgow. So Gary reached out and said, would you be interested? I was like, look, this might be my in, you know. I went and did it. And then that was kind of like the start of my journey, because that then led to me playing the British Country Music Association Spotlight stage at Buckle and Boots. The year after that, they gave me a slot at the festival. I went on to start getting nominated for Newcomer Awards at the British Country Music Awards. Yeah. And it was just a steady progression, but I was like, right, this is my place. Yeah. This is where I belong. And even now, I will always quite publicly say, I'm not just country. Yeah. But it's such a big part of my style. And I'm so comfortable and happy and at peace in this genre. But it's amazing to think I went so long and had no idea about it.
Yeah. It's crazy. But I mean, really, like, obviously, like you say, there's been like the country music club scene for many, many years. Way before, you know, we were born.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But the original scene is still kind of in its infancy. So 2015, I released that album, Secrets. And again, like, it was a bit country influenced because that's what I was listening to all the time. I'd discovered country music through Taylor Swift and Lady Antebellum, Kelly Pickler.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I love this. I love the storytelling element. And it was influencing the way I wrote. And I always used to get told, like, oh God, you got a really fast wobble in your voice. What's that? And it was, my vibrato is naturally really fast, which is like a country element. So I naturally just kind of fell into that genre. And then 2015, I started seeing that gigs were popping up at Gullivers. And you know, it's so funny because, like you say, how things work out and come full circle and you meet people. So this gig was put on by some W21 Music, who obviously you work very closely with now.
Yeah.
So Pete was putting on these gigs with a guy called Luke, who was in a duo called Luke and Mel, who is now my fiance.
Just keeping it in the family,
Ain't
aren't we?
it weird? And I used to pester him. I see you doing gigs at Gullivers. I'd love to come. It was the only gig I could find anywhere near me. So it was in Manchester and I'm obviously based near Leeds. I was like, I see you doing these gigs at Gullivers. Like, I'd love to play. Like, is there any slots? And he'd be like, oh, sorry, it's fully booked. I'd be like, it's fine. I'll come anyway. I'd buy a ticket. I'd get the train to Manchester. I'd go to the gig. I'd get there early so I could hassle him a little bit. I'd stick around to getting on some more at the end of the show. Like, love to play your next one. You know, if you're looking for someone for the next one. I probably spent about 6 months, maybe longer, every month. Have you got anyone for this lineup? Can I get on this lineup? And
that's a tenacity that gets you places. And I love that you were like a dog with a bone.
Honestly, I was like, this is the way I'm going to get in. This is my in. And then I messaged him. I said, look, what about this next one? I went, I know your lineup's full, but hear me out. How about I just play while people take the seats? Don't have background music on. Just have me. I'll just sing for 15 minutes while people are taking the seats. You're doing tickets at door, a little bit of music in background, keeping it country. You don't have a DJ on.
Can't say no.
You know, I could do that. And he was like, fine, yeah, that sounds good. You could do it. Years later, only back, Luke tells me that Pete was like, this girl will not leave me alone. Can we just give her the slot? Luke was like, oh, fine, yes, fine, she can play.
Yeah.
Well, thank God they did, because that was my in. I played the Gullivers and then I met some people there who still come and support my shows now, even though it was all those years ago. And then I started applying for stuff and there was a new festival was coming out the following year called Buckle and Boots. And I was like, this is it. There's a festival full of this music now. I found my people. Like, I'm going to apply. Applied and got, like you said, the Sunday afternoon in the tent.
Yeah.
I was severely hungover when I played it.
Standard.
I wrote Never Learn about that weekend because I was like, why am I hungover?
So what year would that have been?
2016.
So my first Buckle and Boots year was 2018. So it was a couple of years in then.
Yeah.
And it was already pretty established, actually.
Yeah.
But again, what's crazy is that as far as festivals and a scene goes, if people aren't actively into that music, they would have no clue.
Idea, yeah.
No clue.
No.
And what's even more worrying, we kind of have to say the UK country scene, because there's a huge demographic of people that love country music.
Yeah.
But I just genuinely think they're not aware that there's British artists making that music.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I had the opportunity to play with an American artist called William Michael Morgan, who's got a great following. We did a show down in London. And there was a bunch of people that came to see Will. And then I got up and sang and they really enjoyed my music. And they'd come and meet me at the end and they'd say, we had no idea. We've come to see the American. Who are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, how? There's a whole vibe. There's a whole scene.
There are loads of artists out here. I think we're like, it's definitely grown. So we've got more festivals, you know, I think that's the Long Road and C2C, Nashville Meets London, the Blackpool Country Music Festival.
C2C, 25,000 people.
Yeah.
It's
Madness.
incredible.
Madness.
And then you see all these people and you think, do you know? There's UK artists making this music.
Yeah.
But I think with the support of people like Radio 2 and Absolute Radio Country, we are starting to get a bit of a bigger voice now, which is great.
Definitely. And one thing I've seen recently, which I think we'll discuss in length at some point, the help of TikTok. So recently, the Luke Combs song has blown up on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm finding all these people like, when you love country music, but nobody else does because you're in England. I am literally like, hello, hi, I'm here. I've been posting things like there's these festivals, there's these nights out, there's these
educating
bars.
the people. It's been great.
I said, think of me as your fairy country mother. I'm here to tell you of all you can enjoy.
Well, my favourite thing is when people will say, oh, what sort of music do you play? I go country. Oh, I don't really like country. And then that's you written off.
Where did we play? And someone went, what sort of music is it? I'm sure it was like the Honky Tonk Road show. They went, what sort of music do you guys play? And I went, oh, it's country. They went, ding, 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 ding. I was like, Oh, the misconception. Incorrect.
Where's your horse? Where's cowboy at? And you think, wow. And this is again why I love country. I am country. But I think with Americana and blues and rock, it's all pretty blended anyway. It is.
It's kind of under the country umbrella.
It's all under the country umbrella. And I just think when people say, oh, I don't like country, and they write you off as an artist, it really, really boils my blood. Because I think, why don't you just listen to a few of my songs and then make your mind up? Don't just shut down a genre. Because again, we don't have fiddles and banjos on stage because that's not like our Smoky
sound,
Mountains heritage. That's not our sound. I think some of your stuff is so crossover that it could be played on any station. It's not pop.
Yeah,
it's got a place.
Pop influence. So
it's got a place in mainstream music for sure.
There's definitely been a progression through like my music. I don't know if you feel the same when you look back at the stuff you started recording and what you're putting out now, where I can feel I've found my sound now. Yeah. And I'd say sort of probably from like By My Side, that single in 2018 onward, that was me being like, this is I'm country pop. Thanks. I'm country pop and this is what I do and this is what I love and this is my sound and I've stuck to that and it's developed and grown and I am very at home with what I do. I know I'm on the border of pop, but I'm too country for pop music. I couldn't call myself a pop artist. I've still got the elements of country in there. And a lot of that comes down to the songwriting style. But like my Forget the Night EP was way more country. Yeah. And then my Secrets album was more pop with kind of some country influence in it.
Do you I'm asking you this as like personal interest as well. Do you find it like difficult to feel like you have a tick box of where you need to be and how you need to sound in order to be not only accepted, but to like, or say your Forget the Night EP, you think, it's quite country. Am I going to disappoint people? Are they going to not like my direction? And you feel like you're almost having to cater for people when actually that, I personally find that quite stifling sometimes.
Yeah. I did find that, especially as I started moving away from the Forget the Night sound and going a little bit more pop country. But like I say now, I think especially with like my latest EP, I'm so proud of that EP and the sound, and it is exactly what I like to listen to as well. Like I played it because there's so much in there that goes into, you don't just record your music, put it out, you're doing your research, you're seeing how would it fit within a playlist with this artist and that artist. Am I hitting what I'm trying to hit? And I'm so comfortable and happy with it now. But I did, when I was first trying to get into the more country pop sound, think, I might lose some fans now because they really like the country sound. But in the end, I just became content with the fact that I might lose some, but I might gain some more in the more country pop. And I have to be proud of what I'm putting out and enjoy what I'm putting out. Because if you're just recording for the sake of the listener only, obviously to a degree we do that, but if I only think, the listener wants me to be country, I'm not going to like the music.
So I'm not recording by numbers, doesn't it?
I think you have to, at the end of everything, when you put a song out, there's always a fear that it's going to absolutely flop or people won't stream it, people won't like it. But you have to know that you yourself liked that song that you put out. And if you don't, then you need to reassess what you have to love the music yourself.
It is something I massively struggle with.
Yeah.
Because I think I actually envy you. You do have a real specific thing going on. And you're right. Your last EP is, in my opinion, again, I'm your friend, but just from a fellow musician, one of the greatest bodies of work. It's fluid. There's a sound. It fits. It's unapologetically you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I've had the pleasure of seeing that show live quite a few times. It's high energy, and even when you bring it down for Drink This Wine, like your voice just shines through it.
Thank you.
And I worry sometimes that I'm so here, there and everywhere. Like I might do a big rocky bluesy number, lots of heavy guitars, lots of big vocals. And then I also then want to bring it down and sing quite a folky song, which is more like folky Americana with just me and a 12 string.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that for a long time because I thought those two people that listen to those two styles of music will not come to the same gig. And actually they will.
Yeah, because they like the music and you as an artist.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to realise that. And I do think some of my music was writing for what I thought people wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And there's certain songs that I will not sing live. I obviously won't name anything, but it's because it doesn't feel me. It doesn't feel like something I wanted to do at the time. It was like, I need to tick this box. once I realised that I did my first ever headline tour last year. It went really well. The feedback was great, and we had every emotion in that show. There was big, massive songs.
I was lucky enough to catch a couple of those shows, and it was a great show. And like you say, it was a ride. You really brought it down for those emotional moments. Then you had the kind of foot stomping, hand clapping,
and I just think I realised I can put my music out, whatever that is.
Yeah,
and I think if people are a Kezia Gill fan and they enjoy that, then they'll just come along, and it's nice to have a minute where it's just me and the guitar. It's also nice to have a shredding solo. You know, and I'm fortunate to have some amazing players join me on stage, and I love nothing more than throwing a guitar solo and throw a big drum solo in there, but then also have a moment where I say, right guys, go take a break. I'm going to take it back to songwriting here. And now as a genre, yes, country is one of them, but I just think I like to just be Kezia.
Yeah.
That is my
and
genre.
That's it. I think like as you get older, you just kind of see where you fit and where you come from. And it's the same like you were saying then, like you have the moments shredded and stuff. So I, for so long, insisted on always playing my guitar because I thought, well, if people don't see that I play, they might think she can't play an instrument. And that'll devalue what I do. People will go, oh, well, she sings, but she doesn't play an instrument. She should play an instrument. And I was so paranoid, and I used to insist on having my guitar all the time until about 2 years ago. And I just thought, you know what? I feel more comfortable not playing because I'm not a great guitarist. I play enough to write and accompany myself, but I'm not out here trying to take a session gig. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a guitarist. I just accompany myself. And I feel like I'm a better performer without the guitar on. I like to dance and move about the stage. I like
it's
to
just so high energy. Like a guitar roots you to the spot. You know,
That's
unless
it.
you've got
I don't want
wireless cables and all that kind of thing going on.
And once I became comfortable with that and thought, you know what, I'll play it as and when. So there are some like I've got an electric guitar and I might just play in a couple of songs and like you say, it's fun to like have a bit of a play with the other musicians. Or I might stick on an acoustic and just bring it down for one song. But learning, like I don't have to, like you say, write a certain way or play a certain instrument. There was one, I mean, when I was younger and I'd just started playing, I was obsessed. I had ukuleles, pianos, mandolin, guitar, like every instrument, and I'd try to play them all in one gig to be like, look how I'm a multi-instrumentalist, look at all the things I can do. I was like, you know what, just be great at one thing rather than mediocre at several.
I probably need to take your advice because I love guitar.
Yeah, but you're a great guitar player.
But it's like I have a few different
Let's never
guitars.
forget Tennessee Fields.
Always have one ready. Always have a guitar and a black t-shirt ready. Do you know, again, that's just a testament to your music because I'm such a fan anyway. And when you're doing a gig and you book your session plays, you book your band, everyone has to learn the music and everyone has to be ready. And you don't always get a chance to rehearse together, do you? So everyone has to kind of turn up knowing the set. And we were both at a festival. I was playing the festival and we were doing the Honky Tonk Roadshow on the Friday. Yeah. But you didn't actually have a slot, did you?
No, I was just doing Honky Tonk and then I was watching you play on the Saturday.
And then due to illness, one of the artists had to drop out of the lineup. And with Jade being there, the organisers were like, look, can you jump in last minute? Luckily, there was a few players within the vicinity that could get there. But he needed backing vocals and acoustic guitar.
Because, and as I said, I could have managed, like you say, without it. I could have said, Kez, can I borrow your guitar? And played for myself. But I knew the better show would be me not playing the guitar. So I was like, what do we do?
This is my time to shine. I was like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. And I just kind of casually went, oh yeah, I know your songs. I know the harmonies. I can play. And she was like, oh no, I couldn't ask you to do that. Like, you're actually playing the festival. I went, no, it'd be my pleasure. And then the bit that sealed the deal, I've got a black t-shirt.
I was like, I couldn't disrespect you like that and put you on BVs, no. And she was like, I want to do it. I've got a black t-shirt. I'll put that on. I'll put my plats in. I'll just be in background. I'll enjoy it. I was like, are you sure?
We had a great time.
We had a great. And I tell you, Summer, that was one of my favourite gigs. It was pulled together last minute.
You literally had a night, didn't you, to get it all together?
And luckily, Luke always has a go at me for overpacking. But luckily, I had an entire stage outfit. I was like,
great outfit.
I had my pink knee boots, a little two-piece. Luke was like, how is that just packed? So I'm like, you just never know. I like options for every possible gig. Never know.
I just think, honestly, it was genuinely one of like the biggest privileges because no, honestly, and people always expect us to like not get on because we're two women in the same genre, the same industry. It couldn't be more wrong. It's like, I've got you.
Yeah.
What BVs do you need?
It was like on the girls' night in the round tour. We were like the bookends of the thing, constantly just looking over at each other. And same with Jess and Demi as well. Like the fact, like, yes, we love each other's music, but we're such good friends. But then the minute one of us starts singing, we're back into fan mode, just looking at each other like, oh, I can harmonise. Like that was so fun to be like, I can actually harmonise it with you, rather than being at the back of the room or having you on Spotify and just in my kitchen singing along.
Absolutely. And I think that is, again, I suppose, like with finding your niche as you get older in music and everything, I think you find it with your friendship group as well.
Yeah.
I think if you've got people that you're still friends with from school, you're very lucky. Because actually think how much...
I got a big...
You have.
School friend
I don't know how you keep up with
group.
your WhatsApp groups.
Listen, it's a job in itself.
I know it is.
But I am very lucky. I've got friends like from literally like being 3 years old, being primary school.
I'd say all my friends are either from music or people that I've met on my musical journey.
Yeah.
And I actually love it that way because we always joke, don't we? That because I have the great honour of being your bridesmaid at your upcoming wedding, but we always joke about if a gig comes in. Sorry, I can't make it.
I was like, listen, I want you to be a bridesmaid, but also I understand big gig comes in, like no obligation.
Whereas I think people outside of music don't appreciate that you might have to cancel or you can't make solid plans. You have to keep dates free. And we all know that the opportunity could come at any moment.
That's it, yeah.
And I think because we're both in the industry, we're like, look, we get it. We get it.
We get it. Absolutely. I'm going to have a swig of this jam shed because it's just staring at me.
Come and help me drink this wine.
Hey.
Cheers.
Cheers, love.
That's
Ooh,
nice.
a nice little
It's a
drink.
nice little thing, wasn't it? So we hope that our rambling has given you a bit of an idea of who we are, a bit of our journey so far, and we're over the next few weeks we're just going to share some stories, some insights into the industry because there's a lot goes on.
Yeah, a bit of behind the scenes, and like I say, sharing stories from us coming up, things that you kind of maybe never get to hear because we're not going to stand on stage and be like, when I was 13, the teachers wondered why my hair stunk of smoke on a Monday, but because I was playing club on a Sunday afternoon.
Do you know what? I think sometimes it's nice to have a trip down memory lane because
definitely.
you actually realise how far you've come.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you'd have told, 17-year-old Jade and Kezia that they'd one day be doing a podcast talking about their successful careers.
Yeah.
And it's, success is only gauged in the eye of the beholder.
Definitely.
And I always used to think, success is selling out Wembley Arena. It's getting a gold platinum record deal. But actually, success for me is singing my songs to people that want to hear them.
Yeah.
So on that level, we're both successful.
Oh, I'm going to cheers you again to that.
Cheers to that.
Listen, we need to take it easy because we forgot to pack lunch, but we didn't forget the bottle of jammers. So let's see how this goes.
Well, like I said, lots more rambling to come. Stay tuned. Also, we love to hear what you're thinking. We love to hear if you've got any questions or any comments, or if you're a musician out there and you can absolutely relate to what we are talking about.
If you've got some stories to share or things you think could be fun to discuss, then do let us know.
Absolutely.
And so we'll leave you with this question. You know any Oasis?